Nobody showed up when my son went into surgery. Not even a, hope he's okay. 7 days later, Mom texted, family helps each other. Your brother's in a bind, $2,500 right now. I sent a 50-cent transfer with the note. Cut. You're off. By morning, my phone was blowing up with 48 missed calls. When the nurse called me back to sign the final consent form, I still kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see my mom walk through the door with that fake worry on her face. Or my sister pretending she got stuck in traffic. Or maybe my brother with a dumb joke and a coffee in his hand. Nobody came. It wasn't like I had asked for much. I didn't even ask them to come. I just assumed they would. Because that's what family does, right? They show up. Especially when a 5-year-old is being prepped for surgery to remove something from behind his eye. Especially when you're pacing around a cold hospital waiting room at 6 in the morning with vomit on your hoodie and a knot in your stomach that feels like it's been there for years. Kept checking my phone. I refreshed my messages like it would make something appear. Nothing. I told myself maybe their phones were off. Maybe they were busy. But an hour passed. Then the nurse came out again to give me an update, and all I could think about was how empty the chairs were around me. How quiet everything felt. I sat between two strangers crying over their father, and somehow even they offered me more kindness than my own blood. It hit me hard when the doctor finally came out and said the surgery was over, and I realized I had no one to turn to. No hand to grab. No one to break the tension with a bad joke or to distract me with small talk while I tried to breathe again. I just nodded, thanked him, and went to my son's room alone. The worst part. I didn't even cry. I just went numb. 7 days later, I was standing at the pharmacy picking up his eye drops when my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. No greeting. No check-in. Just, family helps each other. Your brother's in a bind, $2,500 right now. That was it. Not a word about the surgery. Not even a casual, hope he's doing okay. Just a demand. Like I was the family ATM. I read it twice because I thought maybe I missed something. I didn't. I didn't reply right away. I didn't say anything. I just went home, made my son a grilled cheese and tucked him in for a nap. Then I opened my banking app. I typed in my brother's name. I sent him exactly 50 cents with the note. Cut. Your. That was the moment it all broke. By the time I woke up the next morning, I had 48 missed calls. First it was my sister. Then my mom. Then my brother, over and over. Voicemails full of guilt trips, threats, dramatic sighs, and fake concern. What happened? Why are you acting like this? We're family. Family. That word they only seemed to remember when they needed something. I'd held this whole group together for years. Holidays, emergencies, favors, support. I was the glue. But what happens when the glue starts to crack? None of them knew what my son went through. None of them asked. I didn't get a single balloon. Not a card. Not even a $5 teddy bear from the hospital gift shop. Just silence when it mattered most. And now I was the bad guy? Because I finally said no? I wasn't angry yet. Not truly. But I could feel it starting to grow. Like something heavy shifting inside me. I realized I had spent years excusing their selfishness because I thought that's what love looked like. But love isn't quiet when you're scared. Love doesn't vanish during surgery. Love doesn't text you a demand after ignoring your pain. This was the beginning of something I didn't see coming. A shift I couldn't undo. And the next person to call me was my Aunt Carla. And that changed everything. I didn't even know Aunt Carla still had my number. She wasn't one of those relatives who sent Christmas cards or commented on every Facebook post. She kind of lived off the grid. Not literally, but she and Uncle Rick had a cabin way out in Pennsylvania, grew their own vegetables, raised chickens, had strong opinions about boundaries and privacy. She was my mom's older sister, but the two of them hadn't been close in years. Last time I saw her, she brought homemade jam to Thanksgiving and nearly got into a shouting match with my dad over politics. That was 4 years ago. So when I saw her name flash across my screen that morning, I thought maybe she'd butt dialed me. She hadn't. Her voice was calm. Not soft. Carla didn't do soft, but calm in a way that made you sit up straighter. She just said, "Tell me what happened. Start from the beginning." I didn't even ask how she knew. I just started talking. And I told her everything. About the scans, the surgery, how I'd stayed up 3 nights in a row watching my son breathe because I was terrified he'd stop. How I'd sent a group message to the family, nothing dramatic, just, "Tomorrow's his surgery. Please say a prayer for him." Not a single reply. Not even a thumbs up. Not even from my mom, who I used to call every other day when things were normal. I told her how I sat in that plastic chair in the surgical waiting room for 4 hours, watching strangers come and go, while my son's little body was being opened up in the next wing. And how no one came. Not with coffee. Not to sit with me. Not even for 5 minutes. And I told her about the text from my mom, 7 days later. asking for $2,500 for my brother, as if my child's surgery was just some minor inconvenience she forgot to mention. Carla didn't interrupt once. When I finally stopped, she just said, "I figured it was something like that." "Good. I needed to hear it from you." I asked her what she meant. She said, "They've been lying about you for years." Then she hung up. I sat there staring at the wall for a few minutes trying to make sense of what she said. Lying about me? Who? What did they even say? I didn't have time to process it before my mom started calling again. Then my sister. Then my dad. One voicemail after another, each angrier than the last. I didn't listen to any of them, but I could tell something had shifted. By noon, my brother texted me back a screenshot of the 50 cents I sent him. He'd refunded it. With the message, "Don't ever contact me again. We don't need your drama." An hour later, my sister posted a photo of her kids with a caption that was clearly about me. "Some people will always play the victim no matter how much love you show them. Sad." My mom's next message just said, "You're not the only one who's ever gone through something, Emily. Grow up." I didn't reply. I didn't even feel the urge to. I took my son outside, watched him wobble around the yard with that pirate-style eye patch the doctor gave him, laughing like nothing had happened. I realized then how much time I'd wasted trying to prove to my family that I was worth showing up for. Later that evening, Carla called again. She said she and Rick were coming into town that weekend. No small talk. Just, "You free Saturday? We'll swing by." Asked why. She said, "We're gonna knock some sense into your parents. Figuratively. Unless they talk stupid, and then we'll see." I laughed for the first time in weeks. But when Uncle Rick called a few hours later, it wasn't funny anymore. He told me they'd been keeping tabs on my family for a while. That Carla had known something was off ever since my mom borrowed money from their late aunt's estate 2 years ago. Money that was supposed to be split among the nieces and nephews. Apparently, my mom told everyone I said it was fine to keep it. I hadn't even known the estate existed. "She's been using your name to cover her tracks for years," Rick said. I didn't even know what to say. They weren't coming just to support me. They were coming because they had receipts. And they were done watching my parents take advantage of me and lie about it to everyone else. Uncle Rick told me one more thing before he hung up. "This weekend is going to get messy. But I think it's time they see the daughter they raised and lost." I don't know what they had planned exactly. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't scared of the storm coming. I was ready for it. They pulled into my driveway just after noon. Uncle Rick driving his beat-up black Ford that looked like it had lived through at least 3 tornadoes, and Aunt Carla sitting shotgun, sunglasses on, holding a manila folder fat enough to make me nervous. My son was inside watching cartoons with a juice box in hand. I opened the front door before they even knocked. Carla didn't say much. Just gave me a hug, short, solid, and said, "You good?" I nodded. She looked me over for half a second. "You look like you stopped pretending." "Good. That's when things start to change." Then she handed me the folder. Inside were printed emails, copies of checks, screenshots, even a typed-up letter from the lawyer handling my great-aunt Linda's estate, the one I didn't even know I was listed in. It wasn't millions, but it was money I could have used. Money my parents claimed I declined. I never saw a penny. Didn't even know there was anything to decline. Carla pointed to one of the emails my mom sent the lawyer 2 years ago. She said you waived your share. Signed a form. She even faked your signature. Rick's friend ran it through a basic verification tool. "It's not yours." My stomach sank. They stole from me. Not figuratively. Not emotionally. Actually, legally stole from me. And then they kept asking for more. My brother's rent. My sister's car repairs. My mom's short-term loans that never came back. Carla looked at me. "You ready for this?" I didn't even ask what this was. I just said yes. We got in the truck. Rick drove straight to my parents' house like he was headed to a job site. Carla didn't say a word the whole ride. She just sat with that folder in her lap, flipping through pages like she was reviewing evidence before a trial. When we pulled up, my dad was outside messing with the gutters. He looked up like he was squinting into the sun. Carla didn't wait for an invite. She opened the door and walked straight up the driveway. "You lied to a lawyer, forged a signature, and robbed your daughter. You want to explain that before I involve the sheriff?" My dad just froze. Then my mom appeared in the doorway with her arms crossed. She said, "We did what we had to do. You don't understand the situation." But Carla cut her off. "No, you don't understand. This girl took care of all of you. And when she needed you, you ghosted her. Now you're about to learn what it feels like when you're not the ones in control." My brother came outside too, shirtless, holding a phone like he was ready to record in case things got dramatic. He didn't say a word. Just smirked. Rick looked at him, then said, "Kid, you ever cash another dollar from your sister, you'll be hearing from a lawyer. We've got all the Venmo records. Every request. Every guilt trip. You're done leeching. I stood behind them, arms folded, saying nothing. Just watching. No one apologized. No one asked how my son was. Not even then. My mom finally said, "You brought outsiders into family business?" That was the moment I spoke. I said, "No. I brought protectors. Because you stopped being family a long time ago." We left after that. Carla had what she came for, her moment. Rick said they'd follow up with the estate lawyer. There might be a case. There might not. But I didn't care. What mattered was that someone finally stood up for me. On the way home, Carla said something I'll never forget. "You spent your whole life giving people tools to build their houses. And they built fences to keep you out. No more." That night, I sat on the floor with my son playing blocks, thinking about every birthday, every holiday, every time I bent over backwards to make my family feel okay. And I realized something brutal and freeing at the same time. I never really had a family. Just people I was born to. And now I was free. 2 days of silence. No calls, no texts, not even one of my sister's dramatic, "Some people are so selfish" Facebook posts. For a second I thought maybe they finally understood. That maybe Carla's little intervention had shocked them into reflecting, apologizing, something. But then I remembered who I was dealing with. It was quiet because they were regrouping. I found out through my cousin Megan. She called me from her car, whispering like she didn't even want her steering wheel to hear her. "I need to tell you something," she said. "You're not going to like it." Apparently, the night before, half the family had met at a diner 2 towns over. Not for dinner. Not for fun. A meeting. Not a single word to me, of course. I wasn't invited. Megan wasn't either. She just happened to be there picking up takeout with a friend. She recognized their cars in the lot, spotted them in the back corner booth, and hung around just long enough to hear the words "unstable" and "manipulating the situation." She slid into a booth close enough to eavesdrop. My mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, and a few of the extended relatives, Uncle Leo, Aunt Robin, even a cousin I hadn't spoken to in 3 years, all of them sitting there like they were organizing a PR campaign. Except the PR was how to turn the story around on me. "They're telling everyone you're doing this for attention," Megan said. "That the surgery wasn't serious. That you exaggerated. That Carla brainwashed you." I didn't say anything. "They said you're trying to sue the family, and that you only pretended to help them all those years just so you could use it against them later. Your brother actually said you're obsessed with being the victim." I felt something tighten in my chest. "They're scared," Megan said. "But they're also not done. They're planning to clean up their mess. Erase anything that makes them look bad. Starting with the estate records." That caught my attention. I hung up with Megan and walked straight to my closet. Pulled out the old fireproof box I hadn't touched in years. Inside were printed messages, receipts, bank transfers, old texts I'd saved without knowing why. I sat on the floor and started scanning everything. Then I opened a blank document and started writing it all out. Timeline, names, amounts. Not for social media. Not yet. Just so I'd have it. Just in case. The next call came 2 hours later. "Carla, they tried to remove you from the estate distribution again," she said. "Sent a forged letter to the lawyer. Said you waived your interest in the second disbursement." I didn't even know there was a second disbursement. That's when she told me the surprise. "There's more money coming. A lot more. They thought the first payout was it. They thought you wouldn't find out. That's why they're panicking now." My parents had been sitting on this. They kept me in the dark when the estate was first settled, forged my name to keep the full payout, and now that a second round was being released, they were trying to do it again. And it wasn't just about greed. It was about keeping control. If I had nothing, I'd stay quiet. Stay dependent. Keep being useful. But I wasn't useful anymore. I was a problem. That night, I sat on the couch holding my son while he slept, his patched eye pressed against my shoulder, and something just settled inside me. It was like a switch flipped. They had lied. They had stolen. They had erased me from their story and expected me to stay grateful for the scraps. No. Now they were about to find out what it felt like to lose the only person who ever truly tried to hold this family together. Because I wasn't just cutting them off emotionally. I was taking everything they never thought I'd have the strength to claim. 3 days later, my sister called. I let it ring. No voicemail. Then 2 minutes later, a text popped up. "We need to talk. It's not what you think." I didn't reply. She texted again an hour later. "I didn't know about the estate. I swear. Mom said you signed everything." I just believed her. Then my brother chimed in. "Look, Emily, don't make this bigger than it is. Let's fix it before it turns into something ugly." They were nervous now. I hadn't gone public. I hadn't told anyone outside Carla, Rick, and Megan. But they were starting to realize something. I wasn't backing down this time. I wasn't crying into their voicemails or sending desperate texts asking why they treated me this way. I was just gone. That's what scared them. Carla called me the next morning. said the lawyer from the estate had officially flagged my parents for attempted fraud. The second disbursement was frozen pending review. And suddenly, my parents weren't the only ones being questioned. Anyone who'd received anything from the estate might be subject to scrutiny. Which meant Uncle Leo, Aunt Robin, even my brother. They'd all helped cover it up knowingly or not. They'd signed things vouched for family unity, all while pretending I'd walked away from my share out of kindness. Kindness. That word had been weaponized against me my entire life. I'd loaned money without asking for it back. Babysat nieces and nephews while sick. Covered rent for my sister more times than I could count. Because that's what family does. That's what they always said. But when I needed something as basic as presence, comfort, support during the hardest moment of my life, they vanished. Now they were scrambling to patch the image they'd spent years building. The family group chat lit up again, which I'd muted weeks ago. First it was guilt. Then panic. Then denial. Then finally anger. You're tearing this family apart. Money makes people crazy. We thought you were better than this. We helped you more than you realize. Fine. Take your little inheritance and leave. They didn't get it. It was never about the money. It was about sitting alone in a cold hospital hallway while my 5-year-old was under anesthesia and knowing not one of them cared enough to show up. Not even a text. Carla, meanwhile, wasn't done. He and Uncle Rick made calls. Sent documents. Spoke to the estate's lawyer, the notary who'd signed the forged form, even the bank that handled the initial transfers. The fallout was brutal. And Carla, bless her heart, did it all with the kind of steady fury that made my mom completely unravel. Then came the final message. From my mom. It came at 1:13 a.m. I hope you're happy. This family is destroyed because of your bitterness. Your poor child is going to grow up without a real family because you decided to play victim over something as small as a mistake. We were all just trying to get by. You turned your back. Don't come crawling back when you regret it. I read it twice. Then I blocked her number. Not out of spite. Not even out of anger anymore. It was peace. That was the feeling I didn't expect. Just pure clean peace. I looked at my son sleeping in the next room. His breathing was steady. The swelling behind his eye was finally going down. He didn't know the details. He didn't know the betrayal, the lies, the money, the faked signatures. All he knew was that I was there. That I stayed. That I never left his side. And he would never forget that. We were okay. Carla called again later that week. We're done, she said. The lawyer's moving forward. Your parents are out. You'll get your full share. It's not a fortune, but it's yours. And they'll never touch it again. She paused. Then said one more thing. I think you should disappear for a while. Let them sit with the silence. I agreed. So I packed a bag, booked a little cabin 2 hours away and took my son with me for the weekend. No phones. No Wi-Fi. Just quiet. We sat by a lake. Skipped rocks. Pancakes. Slept in. And somewhere in the middle of that weekend while watching my son throw breadcrumbs to ducks, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. But I wasn't going back either. It had been a quiet 2 months. No more family drama, no accusations, no manipulation masked as love. Just the stillness of being left alone. And for the first time I wasn't chasing anyone to fix it. Then the week before Thanksgiving a letter showed up. No return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. My mom still wrote like she was filling out a form. Loopy capital E's, straight line T's. The kind of handwriting that wants to look neat but always feels like it's hiding something. I stared at it for a long time. I almost didn't open it. Inside were 3 pages of emotional gymnastics. Not an apology, not really. Just a long list of why things happened the way they did. She wrote about being overwhelmed, about getting older, about not knowing how to handle everything that happened. She said she missed me. But the part that hit me was the paragraph about my son. She said she thought about him all the time. That she missed his voice, his hugs. That she still had the crayon drawing he gave her last Christmas pinned on her fridge. That she knew she didn't deserve to see him, but she hoped maybe someday I'd let her. It didn't fix anything, but it cracked something. Then my dad called 2 nights later from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. He left just 10 words. I'm sorry. I failed you when it mattered. I know. I hadn't heard him say anything like that in my entire life. Not after all the fights, not after everything he'd ever ignored. It was quiet, raw, almost too late, but it was real. That's what threw me. Not some dramatic scene. Just the stillness of 2 people realizing they'd lost something that couldn't be replaced. I didn't call back. Instead, I drove out to Carla's place with my son. He played with Rick's dogs in the yard while I sat at the kitchen table, turning their letter over in my hand. Carla just watched me. They reached out, she said. Not a question. A statement. Yeah. Doesn't mean they deserve to come back in. I know. She took a sip of coffee and said something that stuck with me. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about letting you stop bleeding. So I sat with it. And for the first time in my life, I didn't make a decision based on guilt or obligation. I made one based on what felt right for me and for my son. I wrote my mom back a few days later. Just one page. I told her my son was doing well, that he still talked about her sometimes, that I was open to letting him see her, under my terms. In public. Supervised. Nothing private. I said I wasn't ready for anything more. I didn't want long conversations. I didn't want a redo. I just wanted peace. She responded with a short note. No excuses this time. No long explanations. Just, thank you for letting me try. I'll be better. I promise. I didn't believe the promise. But I appreciated the tone. So we met at a park the next Saturday. My son ran up to her like nothing had ever happened. Hugged her knees, started telling her about a spider he found under our porch. My dad stood a few feet behind, nervous, like someone at a funeral who wasn't sure where to sit. He eventually knelt down and gave my son a fist bump. We stayed for an hour. I kept the distance. Watched everything. My mom didn't push. My dad didn't say much. No one asked me for anything. They didn't even try to talk about what happened. They knew the cost. As we were leaving, my mom looked at me and said, "You don't have to forgive us. But thank you for letting him see us." I nodded. That was it. We drove home. I made grilled cheese. My son asked if he could see them again sometime. I said we'd see. That night I sat in bed thinking about everything. How easily they had dropped me when I needed them. How loud their silence had been. How quickly they had scrambled when they realized I wasn't begging anymore. And how hard they were now trying to be seen as human again. And I realized something. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need some huge reckoning. I just needed the distance. I needed to know I could walk away. And I did. But I also let a sliver of something in. Not trust, not yet, just the space for them to try. With boundaries. With accountability. With the understanding that things would never, ever go back to how they were. They could see my son. Occasionally. Carefully. But me. They lost access. And that's how it stays. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's remembering with clarity. And never handing over the knife again.